I'm Justin, she's LaBre, and this is the Better Together podcast. How's that for an intro?
I think that's pretty good.
That's probably the hardest part of doing the whole show.
Yeah, it's like, do we split it up? Do we stay it together?
Well, I think just it's the same thing with the videos or with the podcast, whatever it is. Starting is the hardest part.
Yeah.
The rest of it's pretty easy. But getting to that point where you're just ready to go, I feel like that's difficult. Like kicking it off. It's like a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, like going up and talking to somebody is the hardest part is when you just get ready to go talk to them.
I don't know. It's not that hard for me, but I'm a bit of an extrovert, so.
Okay, well, you at least see it through this and other things.
Yeah.
So,
I got you.
I'm super excited to be doing this episode of the podcast because we have new equipment.
Yeah.
There's cords and cables everywhere.
Everywhere.
But hopefully that means that the audio quality is much better than it has been.
Fingers crossed. Lord Jesus, let it be.
Hopefully this is going to be everything that we want it to be. It costs a lot more money than what we had been using before. But it seems so far we're able to hear ourselves, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not bad. I like the monitoring of it.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know what it's going to sound like. You can hear if you're doing the pops or different noises like that. So I think that's pretty nice. The other thing that's different, too, is that this is the second time we've tried to do different audio because we went with cheap mics to begin with. And it just, I don't know how to put it. They just weren't good.
No, see, the first time we went with like cheap. And then we tried to upgrade. So the second time we went with a little bit more, but still cheap.
Well, like we went with cheap because we had a lavalier mic that we had bought to use for other things, and we ended up using that for the podcast.
Yeah.
And that actually like works pretty well.
Yeah.
Not the best, but it was better than the other cheap upgrade that we tried to do. I put that in quotes because they just weren't good microphones.
That was bad.
Yeah. We don't recommend Pile microphones because they did not work out well for us. It's called a plosive, and so if you say words like podcast or P words, or Peter, even, you get a little bit of that sound in this mic, but it was so bad. Like nobody would want to listen to it compared to what like we were in before. So this seems to be doing like way better than we were doing before, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's what we should have bought in the first place.
Yeah.
We should have just went and like got a decent microphone. So now the microphone we use is one that supposedly is like one of the most commonly used microphones all over the place. Not really for podcasting, but for, live audio.
Yeah.
I guess is the way to put that. But to get this, we had to go to Guitar Center today.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty good experience. Well, what it means for us is that our son has to play every kind of instrument that they have in the store.
Every one of them.
And he's young. He's still like in that toddler little kid phase, right? So he's not even good at any of these instruments. He just wants to go touch every one of the instruments. Starts in the guitar room with the ukuleles and stuff like that. Wants to go see microphones because microphones are cool. That's going to be a whole new thing now that these are in the house.
Oh, yeah. Like, it was already a thing because of Christmas last year when he got the karaoke machine as a present. And it came with a microphone and the little speaker and stuff. But that microphone that came with that speaker was worse than all.
Oh, yeah.
And so cheap. But the cord broke on it. So then we found another old microphone and like the microphone itself broke.
Well, he broke it. He's rough on everything, but
he's 3.
But it's going to be annoying with some of this stuff. But we were in the Guitar Center, and he's playing with all the different instruments. But then something really neat happened.
Yeah.
He's been obsessed with drums forever. Like that's been the instrument that he's most interested in, I feel like. And so
we tried to maybe encourage some other things that might be a little bit easier for him to do.
I don't know if easier on us. I think is a much better way to think about it.
And a smaller size. Sorry, y'all. The cat was acting up.
Distracted us. But a smaller size, but I think like drums are relatively easy in the sense of like being able just to play on them.
Yeah.
But also they're a lot more disruptive in the house. But he's been obsessed with drums, and so every time we go there, they have the electric drum sets, which are super cool, but also super expensive, which is kind of sad.
Very sad.
Because that would be the one to have if we were going to have drums in the house versus an acoustic set, because there's no way to really quiet down the acoustic set like there is the electric set. You can put headphones on, all that kind of thing. But there was a guy playing the drums while we were there, and so I took him over and we were playing the drums, like he's banging on it. And then I told him, I said, look at what he's doing, buddy, and can you try to do that? Because like at the time, the guy was just keeping like a pretty just decent rhythm. He wasn't doing anything fancy, even though the guy at times was doing things that's like, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
And so he heard me, and so he kind of starts playing with him, and like they're kind of like, he's like showing him and like slowing down and playing different things, so that way our son can get into it. And then he asked him, he's like, well, can you just do one stick and keep beat? And we already knew this, but our son can do it. Like, he's been tapping his foot since he was little. So he's just bam, 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 bam. But the crazy part is we're getting ready to leave. The guy's like, I've been playing drums. I think he said 15 years.
I don't even remember.
I think he said 15 years. And he's never seen somebody with as much, like, just natural drum talent as our young child.
Yeah.
That makes it feel pretty cool whenever you're showing them something like that.
Yeah. And like you've caught in this before, we are trying to encourage music because we noticed that natural rhythm in him. So we want to foster that and encourage it as best we can. So that just was a nice little happy moment.
When somebody tells you like your kid has natural talent and you're at the store like that, it's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like that makes you feel good. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how people just start playing the drums. Is it normal for them to be able to just like, hit some drums on beat and like stay in rhythm like that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it normal for them to just like hit all the different ones, but have a little rhythm in all of it and be in time?
Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, my child is a drum prodigy because the kid just wants to bang on his drums all day.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he just wants to blow it up because he thinks that's what other people are doing.
Yeah.
But in the process of blowing it up, it's not like he's off beat.
Yeah.
Like, he'll hit all the different drum things, and it doesn't sound great, but you can tell that he's actually in time with what he's doing, which is just shocking to me.
Yeah. Yeah. If y'all have any tips on how to further this, like in a happy, encouraging way, and like, because I mean, we both have some musical background, but like I did clarinet in middle school and high school band. I didn't really try hard. I just I went through it. That's all it is. Justin has a little bit of guitar background and stuff like that, but he has family that were really good and whatnot.
Yeah. I think that what most people would recommend is something called lessons. I would imagine that's where that goes next is you get them the instrument, obviously, which may be coming up soon.
Potentially.
And then you get them lessons. I think if that's what you were going to ask for tips on, I think that's what people would say is they.
But I didn't know if that was
lessons.
If for a 4-year-old, if that was the next step. I mean, I know.
I'm pretty sure that would be what it would like. I mean, I think that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like if somebody has advice on that, for sure. But I think outside of like, we can learn a simple enough beat on the drums to just go 1, 2, 3, 4, like, on the snare so many times on the cymbal and then show him that. But then once he's got like some decent just rhythms down, then it's time to like, all right, go talk to a person that shows you how to do that.
Yeah. I don't know what age you're supposed to start with that. I know like our church, in the school, they typically don't start lessons until 5 years old when they're starting kindergarten. But I feel like he probably could.
I think I mean, some places are not going to take younger kids, but like, I would imagine that it's based on the child.
Yeah.
Like if your kid, because a lot of kids his age aren't going to have the capacity to follow the instructions, and I think that would be his biggest problem. Is just listening to what you're telling him to do, and not just banging all over a set of drums.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get him to have a bad habit either. I mean, that's the worst thing you can do in an instrument is to get some kind of bad habit because you start playing with it and, develop things because you're not being taught the proper way. You're just fiddling with it, right?
Yeah, but you also want him to have a good experience with it and not learn to hate it because he's being forced.
I don't know, because I've heard both sides of things, and I mean, it obviously depends on the person as well. But like I've heard a lot of people talk that are older about lessons, and they'll be like, "I wish that I had been forced. I wouldn't have liked it as much then, but I would be able to do it now."
Yeah.
But then there's people who, were forced and have the opposite view.
Yeah.
So it's a hard battle, but they can play an instrument. I bet they'd feel different about being upset about having been forced if they couldn't play the instrument. I wish my parents had forced me a little bit more on the guitar stuff, but
I wish mine encouraged different instruments.
yeah, clarinet not the best choice. I've tried to encourage instruments, but you don't want to do it now.
Yeah, now I'm too old.
You're never too old. We're not dogs. We can be taught new tricks.
I feel too old now.
Well, it's not about how you feel. It's about what you are. It doesn't matter if you feel young, feel old. If you are old or if you are young, it's what really matters, right?
Yeah. Feelings aren't important.
You could learn something if you really wanted to, but it's just going to take time.
Yeah.
Which now we have so much of.
So much.
So much time.
Yep.
So
just swimming in it.
Swimming in time. Oh, wow. Segue. Gosh, you wouldn't even believe how good this is. It's like we don't discuss anything before the podcast.
No.
And I've ruined the segue now. But talking about time, my first thought to talk about this week, and it's something we have talked about in the past, is people who create time.
Yeah.
Fascinates me. I know a guy, like one person specifically that I work with, and he will come back on Monday, and you'll be like, so dude, what'd you do this weekend? He's like, well, I woke up early, and I went to the Food City, and I found that they had a brisket on sale, so I bought the brisket, went home, started smoking it, left the house again, went to Home Depot, bought the things for these projects, knocked those projects out, went back to Home Depot to do some more projects. Then when my wife woke up, we went to town. We went out and did a whole bunch of stuff, came home, checked on the brisket, did some more projects around the house, and then the next day I did 17 million other things. And you're like, how do you accomplish so much?
Do you not sleep?
Well, not even that. Like I mean, we wake up early,
yeah.
But like you start it takes you even if we wake up early, it takes you until like 9:30 for breakfast to be made, and it's like you're making a big breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything like that, but like all these things just take time.
Yeah.
Like I start doing something, I look down, I'm like, it's been 2 hours. Where in the world? And it's like other people start something, they look down, it's been 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like how do you do things so much faster than me? I think you see it in church.
Yeah.
I swear sometimes you'll be sitting there and the pastor's been preaching for 2 hours. You look at your watch, it's 5 minutes. How did you say all this? You just read the whole book of Genesis in 2 minutes. How? How is this possible?
Yeah.
There's times we go to a Pentecostal church, there's times that the Spirit breaks out and you're sitting there and you're like, wow, this is awesome. And everybody's praising Jesus. And you're just, woo, thank you, Jesus. And then you're like, man, we must be getting into time for preaching. Like normally we'd be preaching right now, right? And you look at your clock and it's the same amount of time as it normally is.
Yeah.
It's like, how did we sing the same song 16 times?
That we normally do 3 times.
And now all of a sudden, it's only taken us an extra 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't understand how time works.
The Lord.
I would like the Lord to start letting me create time, especially with these podcasts and the YouTube shorts. If you guys aren't on our YouTube channel, then go to our YouTube channel. I'm putting out some just hopefully encouraging or inspiring or just call you to do what you ought to be doing for Jesus shorts. And so check those out. But as we're making all this different content, I'm like, man, it'd be nice if I could create time.
Just add that into your prayer list.
Yeah, Lord, I pray that you would help me to create time.
Amen.
Amen. In Jesus' name, amen. Wouldn't that be lovely? But it literally blows my mind. I mean, this guy comes and tells me things, and I'm like, there's no way that I could do all that in one day.
Yeah. Like, what time did you actually wake up, and what time did your wife wake up? What kind of projects are you doing?
Well, this is what's called having a big house and a basement. So, you've got space. You could do a project in the basement and nobody upstairs is going to hear you.
Yeah.
We don't live that kind of lifestyle, LaBre.
Yeah, but what are you doing?
He's got woodworking projects. I mean, he does stuff outside.
Like, because sometimes I can give you a whole huge list of stuff I did in 10 minutes.
The stuff that he tells me, like, I don't know. I don't have a great example. I didn't write down the last thing they told me, but he'll just sit there and he's like, I'm so sorry. But like it'll be the weekend, and then he's like, "So what'd you do?" And I'm like,
I went to the store.
Well, I bought a microphone at Guitar Center,
and then we went home,
and then it was 12 o'clock, and it was time to eat lunch. That's what it feels like. It just makes me feel like I'm not using any time, right? Because this guy's getting everything in the world done, and I'm still just hanging out.
Yeah, I get that.
No, I just wish I could create time.
It would be nice.
I don't know. it just like to be able to do so many different things. But I don't know if maybe I just work slower. I've kind of wondered that. Like maybe that's my problem.
Maybe. Yeah. There's some things that I know that I do slower than some others might do. You, for instance. And
I
there's
definitely would leave the house quicker than you do on the regular.
yeah.
Because like you, Oliver, wake up and then you get him out here, and you'll be like, all right, well, I'm making him breakfast, and then you guys will need to go somewhere, but you don't leave until like 11, and he woke up at 8:30. It's like, how in the world?
Well, see what happens is
I know you have an excuse. I know you have a reason, but I'm just saying I would push it to go faster.
yeah. But at this point in his nap schedule and stuff like that, I don't feel the need to push it as much because I have till 2:00.
Okay. Now we haven't explained it on this podcast, but we planted a fence row of food bushes,
Mhm.
fruits. We have cherries, cherry bushes,
Yeah.
which I didn't know were a thing, but they are. You can look it up. It's called a Nay King cherry. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we have blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, goji berries. We're trying to make a privacy hedge out of plants.
Mm-hmm.
I think we planted like 10 things.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But we started that pretty early,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, I don't feel like somebody else can dig a hole faster than I can dig a hole. Like I don't know if that's like I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there if they were really trying, but when you're just going through digging holes,
Yeah.
that's a pretty standard pace.
You can dig
like.
a hole faster than I can dig a hole.
That is true. But it still took us forever. And it's like, this wasn't that many plants. Why did it take so long to plant these?
Because they're rocky, hard soil.
Or it's because our time thing is off. Maybe there's a whole thing we don't even know about. Maybe we all have our own time and we just didn't realize it.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's like sloth's time takes longer. I don't know.
No.
I've never stopped watching. I'll tell you, I did find out that, the little skip button on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else did their own science project on the Blimey Cow podcast.
Oh, yeah?
And he said, I think that it seems like the 5 seconds, like it takes longer sometimes. And so he literally took like 4 different screen captures and he lined them up. And the seconds were different. So like when it counted down like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the intervals weren't an exact second. And some of them were always longer than others.
So it's not a second countdown. It's just
a whatever they want it to be, so you'll watch more of the ads.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a genius idea.
Yes.
But it's also kind of a jerky thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty smart. I mean, that's what I would never get to if I had a video.
I mean,
platform. And maybe it's not even on purpose. Maybe it's
not
just like
all mean people are idiots.
I mean, I'm not going to say that it isn't on purpose because you're talking about ad revenue,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it's possible that it isn't on purpose, and it's just like because it's just putting that in there randomly. I don't know. You remember that snake at Target? I said there was a snake found in the Target.
In the buggy.
He got a new home.
Oh.
It's at a college campus now. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I just thought an update from a weird story last week. That's the only thing article news related that I have is that update.
Oh, well, how about that? The things I have are kind of silly. You want to?
Yeah. I don't know what you've got.
So first, this week I went out to go see our friends. And on my way there, you drive on to Steaky Street.
Sticky?
Steaky.
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 Huh.
Kind of like stinky.
Yeah.
But Steaky.
Well,
and then you go through Steaky and you see the Steaky mailbox or the Steaky post office, the Steaky sheriff.
Wow. That goes so well with what we talked about last week. If only this had been 1 week earlier.
But so in doing that and driving down Steaky and all that, I pass Orr Road.
Really? So the Orrs live near?
Past.
They live past?
Yeah.
Well, near. They live close.
Ish. It's relative. It's not that close.
Okay. Well, they live in proximity.
Yes.
They live closer than other people do.
Exactly.
That is funny.
But yeah, the Orrs live near Orr Road off of Steaky.
I think they need to move.
I think they do.
I mean, there is a Lee Road near us, though, that we pass all the time on our way to church.
Yeah. But there's a lot of Lee.
I mean, we live on Lee Highway almost.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Mr. Kitty. I'm being invaded. My personal space is being taken away.
Cats, y'all. They have no cares.
He's both the best and the worst animal at the exact same time.
Exactly.
No.
And you want another one.
I just think it'd be funny to watch them. Like, you've seen the videos where, like, the two cats start playing together and doing stuff. Those videos are absolutely hilarious.
They are, but I mean, do you think Hank would be a good big brother? I just don't know.
I think that he would be a funny big brother.
He's a little mean sometimes.
I know the videos are mean. Like, they'll be like batting each other and stuff like that. The
Yeah.
best ones are when they're like one of them's in a cabinet or a box, and there's another cat. You don't even see the one cat. You just see a cat standing there, and all of a sudden, the thing flies open, and they just like pop him on the
And
head.
that would be Hank because he does it to Rory.
He does do that to Rory.
And Rory's our dog. She's a Great Dane German Shepherd, so she's a very large dog.
She's like 100 pounds.
Hank loves to ambush her. We need to video it and send it into one of those things.
Yeah, but it's all about catching it. That's the thing. Is like the timing is never good.
We just have a camera set up one Saturday.
Just all the time. We'll just record constantly.
Yep,
I mean, that's how you'll get the content out there, and then we can get Jesus out there.
Yeah.
You just got to get noticed. I mean, that's what that Mr. Beast guy just, like, he live streamed all the time counting to 1 million or whatever it was. So.
Yeah, I mean.
And then you get to do whatever you want to.
Exactly.
Right? That's funny. So the Orrs live near Orr Road.
Yep.
Huh. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've not been out there, though.
I noticed that, and then Oliver was like, Daddy needs to go. And it was really funny.
So this is completely different than what you were talking about just now. I've started to wonder, like, you see people wear hats, and, like, the bill always looks fairly normal. It's always normal on their head. I wear a hat a lot, and then I go to the bathroom at work, and my hat's crooked all the time. It's like it's more comfortable when it, like, looks wrong, and it, like, looks really bad. And so it's like, is my head crooked? Like, what is causing me to have it, like, lower on closer to my glasses on one side?
So I believe it's because when you bend your bill.
But I don't mess with them. Like, the newest hat you got me, I have made sure not to mess with it because I thought the same thing. Like, somehow I'm bending it, but I don't mess with them anymore. I used to bend them down a little bit because I don't like them to be super flat.
Yeah.
But the new hat, I've not messed with it. But it'll just, like, get cockeyed on my head.
Maybe it's bumping your glasses?
It'll just, like, lean down and touch my glasses on one side. So, like, one side's lower than the other side.
It's because of the swoop on your hair.
I don't know. Because then all I do is
a
just,
little thicker.
like, I've literally developed a method. And, like, when I put my hat on, I, like, put my thumbs under both sides between my glasses and the brim of the hat and level it out. And then it looks fine. But if I adjust it, I end up pulling it down to the side. And I don't know why.
Because I always thought it was because of you bending it.
Some of them are like that. But I don't know if they've bent over time around my head to be, like, shaped differently or what it is. It's really bizarre, and I really hate it. But that made me wonder. I was like, do I have a crooked head? Like, what is wrong with me that everybody else seems normal?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I always thought it was just where you're bending
it. Maybe I have a dent
it.
on one side.
What?
Maybe I have, like, a dent on one side of my head. And so then, like, it just falls into this hole. I didn't know.
We should check.
We'll have to measure it and see if there's anything weird there.
Yeah, we should do, like, a plaster form just to see.
Well, if we're going to go that far, I might as well have a bust made just for the future.
I mean,
for the grandkids, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them to miss out on what I look like now.
I know. You're so handsome.
Well, thank you.
We got to preserve that.
It. Yeah. I mean, I just want people to know at one time he actually didn't look old. And so that's what you got to think about is your kids, your grandkids, they're not going to know.
Yeah.
Think about your parents. If, like, I still get confused. Like, for one, you don't think you're 30.
Yeah.
Right? Like, in your head, you'll be like, man, because you think you're like 20 or something like that. But then what's funnier is that, like, I think of my parents like they're in their 30s still.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when you think about memories and you think about stuff, or even when you're just thinking about your parents, you don't think of them as being, like, in their 50s.
Yeah.
You think of, like, oh, they're like 30-something years old. No.
Nope.
They're old now.
Yep.
So, but you're going to remember them as old people.
Yeah, because, I mean, I guess because of my relationship with my parents, like, I've got mine stuck in their 40s. I just always am like, wait a minute. They are in their 50s.
But see, like, there's like
my
a time
grandma,
that gets stuck in your head.
Yeah. My grandma, I always think of her as in her 50s. No, she's in her 70s.
I always think of Etta, my great-grandma, as older than she is. because she's so old.
She's just been old forever.
She's telling me she's going to die for the last 20 years.
I mean,
you better come over here and give Granny a hug. I may not be here next year. And every year she's back. There's a hummingbird in one of those flowers.
aww.
Yeah, and another hummingbird just came and knocked it off. I've not seen that, though. That's the only reason I had to say something about it right now is because we've had those flowers out there, and I've never seen a hummingbird or anything. But that's not even the kind of flower you would think a hummingbird would mess with.
Yeah, which flowers was it?
It was the tall orange ones over there.
Oh, those are good hummingbird ones.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah.
I think of anything that's for a hummingbird to look kind of like
cone shape.
like a funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah. A cone, a funnel, they're the same thing.
Yeah.
Cones are funnels, funnels are cones. It's
But
gone now. I'll tell
those
you
flowers, I thought they weren't going to make it. Like, I thought it was going to be too shaded back there or something. And I planted them. I was like, all right, if they just do really bad and they start looking real rough, I'll move them. Well, they were fine, but they didn't push out any blooms for a while. And then next thing I know, there's a whole huge plume of blooms.
Yeah.
Like, it just took them a hot minute.
I don't know. I feel like the things that grow places, it's like I didn't expect you to grow there. Why are you doing good there and not where I thought you would do good?
Yeah. The flowers that told me they were full sun, you set them in full sun. They said, nope.
Yeah. Don't do that. I don't like that.
Yeah. Don't like it. Mm-mm. And then you move them to the shade and like, no, I really don't like that. And then they're gone.
Yeah. I feel like plants are a very difficult thing because you only get one chance every year.
Yeah.
And I know like some stuff comes back and obviously, but like seasonally, you plant things in the spring for the most part and you hope that they do well through the summer and the fall and stuff. But like if it doesn't do well, if it doesn't take, by the time you realize it and you want to replant it,
it's really too hot
it's
and
too
it would
late.
be a big struggle to
So like
baby it through.
We're like if you average our ages, we're 30.
Yeah.
That sounds like one of us is really old or really young, but like we're right at that door of 30. So if you just say 30, then average life expectancies, you're looking at like another 40 years, right? But when you break it down to only having one chance a year to garden, it means you only have 40 more chances.
I know. It's so sad. Good thing we're going to do fall garden.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, I guess if you do it like that, but like for flowers, you don't really get to do much of a fall garden.
Yeah.
Because it's too late.
There's some stuff that'll
But by the time
do
they would be
better.
ready to bloom, it'd be cold.
Well, there's some things that are frost hardy, so
Yeah.
all as well.
Well,
I got stuff. I actually have to start stuff soon.
I was wondering about that the other day because you haven't really started anything yet. I saw the stuff in the basement, and I knew you needed to bring it back up here, and I was like, I'm just going to see how long it takes.
Yeah, I keep meaning to go down there and get it, but it's the whole gotta take the kid with me or got to leave him here unattended or with you. But then when you're here, we're doing stuff. And yeah.
It doesn't make it easy.
No.
No.
But it's okay. It's on my list for this week because there's certain things I want to do this fall.
Well, we definitely want to get like the coal crops.
Yeah.
Not cold crops, like I thought it was, because I'd only heard people say it on YouTube.
Well, yeah, and like I even have seen it out at places where it says cold crops.
Okay, well, I've not seen that, but apparently that's not what it is.
No, it's coal.
But basically, it makes sense that it would be cold crops because it's plants that can grow when it's a little bit colder. So like lettuces and broccolis and things like that. Because you don't want to grow broccoli when it's hot outside because it'll go straight to seed.
Yep.
Broccoli will actually be a flower.
It's very pretty.
It is a pretty flower, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like the head of broccoli that you're eating, the tree looking part.
It's the seed pod.
That's where and like it'll open up and there's flowers.
It's really pretty little yellow flowers.
Yeah, I mean we've done it.
Yeah, we let it go to seed one time just to see what would happen, and we enjoyed it. This year, for our spring garden, we did not put the broccoli out, do all that soon enough. But we kept worrying and waiting that it was going to get another freeze, and then it would die. And
Yeah.
now I'm just going to do stuff when I feel like it, and we'll see what happens.
Well, this year's gonna ruin you though. So like this year we had the like earliest spring ever, and it never frosted again. It was super
I planted
nice.
in February, y'all.
We had tomatoes that by March were like 4 foot tall. It felt like they probably weren't exactly that tall, but they were huge, and they were starting to flower all the way back then.
But
It was
we had
insane.
tomatoes on the vine and sitting green for forever.
Because then it never got hot. Like it just didn't ever get cold. Like it just got warm.
Yeah.
But then the heat never came.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just sitting there with these tomatoes waiting on it to get hot enough and enough sun to come through. So it really still didn't matter in the end. Like we didn't get that much of a head start on what we got off the plant.
Cherry tomatoes, we got a huge head start on. But my normal sized tomatoes, those were way behind.
Yeah.
What I felt they should have been because of how soon they were planted and got fruit and all that jazz.
It was still a much better year than last year.
Oh my gosh, 20 million times better.
Even on the in-ground one. I mean, like those tomatoes did a lot better this year.
They did better, but they're still not anywhere close to what the raised beds are.
No, but that's a lot more fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
I had a whole thought about fertilizer and like, nutrients, and the reason that we don't produce fruit as Christians because we don't have the nutrients that we need. And the only way we're going to get the nutrients that we need is through prayer and Bible study and like hearing biblical teaching.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible
That's not
is
really
the
what
bread
this
of life.
podcast is about, but when you said it, it made me think that.
Yeah, I mean, because of our relationship with God and everything, that's what does make us better together.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
so it's going to bleed into everything.
I think we made a podcast that sounds like a marriage counseling podcast when like that's not our goal at all.
No.
But we are better together.
Yeah.
Like that's why we're doing the podcast together. Because if we were alone, it wouldn't be as good of a podcast. We'd have been done already. Be like, well, I've ran out of things to talk, and we're about 30 minutes in, and I just don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. Because together we get to follow each other's rabbit trails and have a very fun, interesting conversation.
This is what we're struggling with, really, though. Like, let's just tear down all the walls. First of all, this is completely off subject, but my ears are hurting so bad from these in-ear monitors right now.
They've never bothered me.
I don't know if it's like the canal size, like the little, I don't know what you call that, the little rubber part that you put on the end of them for the earbud. Super uncomfortable right now. Not enjoying myself, but now I have to ride it out for the long haul for the rest of this podcast. But the other wall that I was going to tear down is like the issue is like we'll be talking about something and we're like, we really should have saved this for the podcast. Because then we would have had a great conversation. Yeah. But now we're already having the conversation.
Yeah. Like what was that thing that literally on the drive we said, oh man, should have saved that?
Well, the one thing that I said was that I was going to save was about the drum stuff. So I knew that. Like I was like, wait.
But there was something else.
See, I can't remember. That's the problem. We also have to take notes.
Yeah.
But.
I have no clue. I thought it was something to do with like numbers, maybe.
Numbers?
Like the amount of something. I don't know.
I don't know.
So what next?
See, that's the issue. Is like following a rabbit trail. Those you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also love the idea of not having a point.
Yeah.
I didn't come here with like, this is what I want to tell you about, because that's like, it's like what everybody's doing. Like everybody just wanting to tell you about stuff, and I just don't.
Yeah, we just want to have a conversation.
I want to be able to have one podcast that I do every week that I don't have to rely on anything else. And it's like if you're on this, then you know about the other two podcasts. The More God, Less Me, which is like the meat and potatoes, the whole thing falls in that segment, and it's all about just giving some kind of encouragement to get more of God and less of ourselves in our life. And that's like pretty much like a teaching podcast every week where I've got to have something prepared to speak on and like actually put in the time to study and things like that. And then the God Notes podcast, the only way I'm going to have God Notes is if I am studying and praying and like communicating with God.
Yeah.
But this podcast, I just get to collect funny things throughout the week that I hope are funny, but that I get to talk about with you for some amount of time. I did get cut off this week. Oh? It's not abnormal. I have to go through a roundabout, and people in East Tennessee don't understand roundabouts.
No.
And this roundabout's only at work. Like you grew up with roundabouts. For some reason in Maryville, there's roundabouts, which don't make any sense.
There's
nowhere
a few
else.
here and there.
I mean, like they put a couple in other places, in other cities and things like that, but like that's not a normal thing. So people still struggle with the one that we have at work. And so I was coming through it, and I get cut off by this guy. But what was funny is that his license plate, no lie, Safety G. It just said safety on his license plate, and he cut me off on the roundabout.
I think we need to remove his license.
Yeah, we're going to have to, sir.
His tag.
That would have been hilarious.
Yep.
You go to him, hey, excuse me, you need to change your license plate because that was not safe.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot be driving like that and have that license plate on your car.
It just doesn't work. You no longer have the right to that.
Also, was safety taken? So he had to have safety G, or like
his name has to start with G,
or his last name, something. Yeah. But it makes you wonder.
Mm-hmm.
I like the license plates that somebody paid to have the custom license number, and you have no idea what it says.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what in the world could that possibly be? You know?
Yeah, the ones where you can clearly read. Yeah, that's kind of fun, but then you have your own secret code.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you do silly stuff, like I've seen buy or vroom.
Yeah, or like
sup.
There's ones where it's like car 5 type thing, where it's like saying they have X amount of cars or whatever.
Bandit 1.
Yeah.
The Smokey and the Bandit. Vols. That's a really big one around here. I think the idea of doing that would be a lot of fun, but then like, I don't know. I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to deal with it.
I don't know that just doing the different numbers, letters thing is that much more, if any. But getting the themed plates.
Well, yeah, but you're giving a donation. That's what that is. It's like, it's supposed to be like, if you get like,
it's a donation every year.
Well, yeah. But but then you're being charitable. But it just makes you feel bad, like when you're paying for that and you go in there like,
especially when you're already paying like $65 for it, and then it'd take you up to like $90. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, that's the best part about
we moved out of that county.
Yeah, no wheel tax. That's the way to be. Let's just tax everything. We need taxes on our wheels. It's a happy podcast.
Happy podcast. We're not going to worry about all that.
We're not going to worry about taxes. We don't have a food tax right now, so we can't complain.
Exactly.
We can go to the grocery store and we just add up all the numbers and we know what we're paying. We don't have to guess about it.
It's pretty great. But that's going to end.
It always ends. They did it for the back to school stuff.
I know.
But it's nice. So, because we've kept everything so neatly tight together to keep in that theme, what do you think I was going to say 100 years ago, but I feel like now 100 years ago was 1920 and the world was vastly different, but not like as different as 200 years ago. As time goes on, we're just becoming more normal. What do you think somebody from 200 years ago would think is crazy today? And I don't mean like, wow, a television or something like that, but like something that we do. Because I have an idea of something that we do that I feel like they'd be like, why in the world? Like, they would just think it was almost just like silly or dumb in a way.
Processed foods.
Well, yeah. Why would you want to eat food that isn't real? That's a great one. I didn't even think about that. My thought was treadmills.
Oh, yeah.
You're telling me that you've created such a life that requires you to do so little that you have to go to a place like a gym and then walk to go nowhere. You're walking with nowhere to go. That's how easy your life is.
And get this. We also created one for stairs.
Yeah. Now we're also... Could you imagine? I didn't even think about that. Like, the commercial for the first thing, it's like, for the first... What are they? Stairmaster?
Yeah.
The first Stairmaster, it's like, tired of walking and going nowhere? Try going upstairs and going nowhere. This is going to revolutionize the way that we work out. They have the ladder one. You remember that when we used to go to Gold's?
Oh, yeah.
Now you can, like, why in the world? That has to blow your mind to think about if you were somebody from 200 years ago. You're used to working. The only way you could get around was to walk. Walking used to be a sport. And I don't mean like in the Olympics and things like that. I mean like there were professional pedestrians in the sense that like they would go on these massive walks and gain like fame.
Yeah.
Simply by walking like across the country or something like that.
It used to be a pretty big thing, and now
you're like, wow,
we do so little.
You're the best walker. You are so good at that. You know? I want to be the best at walking. I feel like I'm a pretty good walker.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could go pro or not, but it would be pretty cool. But the fact that like there's nothing that I find as strange. Like there's people from other countries who get confused, tie into last week, about having a bathroom in your house. They're like, you do that inside. Why would you want to do that in where you live at? You know? It's It's like I get that, but we it's not like we leave it there.
Yeah.
It goes out.
It goes out.
It goes somewhere. I don't even know where it goes. It leaves here.
Yeah. Goes into the sewer system that's part of the city.
Yeah, it's gone. But like I've seen that kind of thought, but I don't think anything would be like they would just be like, why?
Yeah, and then the processed foods to go along with it.
Yeah, and then we want to complain.
Like, you eat what? And you put it in a microwave, so you got bad stuff, and then you radiate it.
So you created a life that you don't have to do anything, and now you complain about not having anything to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a question that they'd have. Like, why, if you're so upset because you don't ever have anything to do, why have you created a life where you don't have to do anything?
Yeah.
Get out and work. I think that's what they would be saying. It's like, go do something.
Yeah. Like, go make a garden. Go get some animals to work. Go.
Wait, you don't have a cow? Where does your milk come from?
The store.
But what if the store doesn't have milk?
The store's got milk.
The store always has milk. I mean, you can't.
Unless there's a snowstorm coming. And then they beat us to it.
And then there's no milk, bread, or eggs. You cannot make French toast in East Tennessee if the storm's coming. Isn't that how you make French toast?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they've been doing. I've wondered my whole life why the milk, bread, and the eggs. People are like, if I'm going to be home because it snowed, I'm going to have a good breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some French toast.
No one notices that all the cinnamon is gone.
Yeah. Nobody ever pays attention to the cinnamon.
Yeah.
You know? Well, like one little jar lasts you 6 years. Probably your whole life.
Except there's expiration dates, so you really should pay attention to that. But it's all probably a lie.
You are fun. Just a little bucket of fun. Just make the whole thing better.
I do.
Oh, goodness gracious.
It's what I bring to the table, y'all.
So, since it's questionable when this podcast will get heard by anybody, not the fact that we'll upload it, but if we finally get some viewership.
Yeah.
I think we should just break down some more walls.
Oh, what are we going to do?
And just talk about the fact, like, what we think the other could improve on in the podcasting. Oh. Because, like...
I should improve on filler stuff.
Well, not just filler stuff. Like, we should come somewhat more prepared. Yeah. Like, with some kind of good story to get into. Mm-hmm. Like, even about past things. I just, like, my brain doesn't work sometimes. But that's not... The way you talk is different on here than how you would talk to somebody normally.
Yeah. I get that.
Like your explanations and things. Like I was watching you talk about something earlier, even about like plants, and I'm like, if Emily or even somebody you didn't know that well was here, mm-hmm. you would talk about it differently than you're talking about it right now. I feel like I would talk differently than I would talk to a person, but in a better way, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm still having how me and you would have a normal conversation right now. But you're like, I don't know. And you just stop.
Yeah. But it's also
because stop.
I'm trying to think more. Because I know we're putting this out there.
Do you think that they thought when they made Seinfeld? No. I'm just kidding. That was so dumb. But like, I think the whole point of this podcast is not to think. You're just talking. As long as you're not saying anything that's going to get us canceled, then it's fine.
Yeah, I can't say that thing that I said the other week.
I don't even remember now. Oh, the C word? Yeah, you cannot talk about that.
Now you done did it.
No, they don't catch that. They don't know that. What I could be talking
know.
about all kinds of C words.
They know.
That would be hilarious. The things that like, there's a couple podcasts that I listen to that like somehow they always bring it up, and I don't understand why that even has to come up. Like, but all the different names that they give for it is just absolutely hilarious to me. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah,
that's not really where I want to go as a podcast, but I do think it's funny.
Yeah. I don't really have any like much feedback for you right now on like what you can improve on besides.
I feel like this is what I was supposed to do. This is like I shouldn't even like have another job. I should just have 17,000 podcasts. The thing is, you diversify your portfolio enough. If I just have enough podcasts, eventually some of them will make a little bit of money, and then the more of them you have, the more money you make. I don't even need a real job.
Health insurance.
Yeah, you just have to make enough more than I make right now, then you just pay for the health insurance. I heard somebody talk about taxes, and I don't know anything about tax law, so I could be like completely wrong about what I'm about to say. I like how we have 3 of my devices, and they all go off at the same time I get a text message. But I heard somebody talk about tax, and they're like, you just don't understand when you're self-employed and you have to pay your taxes, and you just see all that money going out. And I'm like,
I guess because they're not looking at their pay stubs.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that the tax rate is going to be the same regardless of if you're self-employed or if you're just employed by a company.
Yeah.
And it's like, I look at my pay stub, and that does hurt when I look at like what I made versus what I took home.
Mm-hmm. That hurts.
That number's sad.
Oh.
But I think it's like what you're saying, though. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe they're just not looking at that. Now, obviously, there are some business taxes that you have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't feel like you're getting hit that much worse than anybody else is getting hit. But I don't know. I'm not an accountant.
I have no input on that because I don't know.
If anybody young is listening to this podcast, there's like certain jobs that you should consider, even though they don't sound the most fun, but like degree paths or things like that. Like, you know how beneficial it would be to actually be an accountant?
Yeah.
If you understood how money works, and like and I feel like to be an accountant, you have to understand math and how money works. And there's got to be like some economic understanding in there, right? So like you take these classes in school. I mean, my gosh, you'll probably get a pretty good job, but then you'll understand how to do your taxes. If you ever want to start a business, you already know what the tax stuff is. Like if I wanted to start a business right now, I'm gonna have to go consult with somebody who hopefully isn't going to take advantage of me.
Yeah, which I think we know someone whose wife is an accountant potentially.
Okay. Well, that's great, but I'm just saying, like, it would be so beneficial to be an accountant. It's the same thing as like the trades, because like technically I'm a union worker, but I'm not actually a trades person. Like I work on computers and stuff. But like, if I had become like an electrician, man, that would be good to know. Now I don't really want to be an electrician because they could get electrocuted.
Yeah, but that's what my dad's for. Cause
it's kind of hazard to the job. But like HVAC, carpentry, those different things. Like, yes, you're not going to be driving a Porsche potentially and being like a doctor or something like that.
But if you're a carpenter,
you're like Jesus. No, but if you're a carpenter, there's so much that you can do.
Yeah.
Like
you could build a house.
You could build your own house.
You could build a beautiful.
But you could fix things.
Bookshelf.
You could fix things. Or like if you're a plumber, you never have to call a plumber.
Yeah.
Plumbers are expensive. HVAC is expensive.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't be all of those things. But like if you could be one of those, that's you're going to have an easier time than I have.
You know what would be smart to do is like if you get the accountant job or whatever, go to night school for plumbing or whatever. Like
No. No.
You should be able to audit those kind of things.
You can't audit that. I got it better though.
Oh.
You're not. No.
Marry one?
Well, that would, yeah. I mean, if you have that, there's not many female plumbers and carpenters, I don't think. But no, if you become an accountant, then you just become friends with those. They need their small business accounting done. You need an on-call plumber.
We're back to the old way of doing things.
That's the way that it should be.
Bartering.
Yeah. So you got a guy that's your plumber, and you do his taxes every year. Now, yes, you're spending the time, but anytime you have an issue, you guys have that deal worked out. You got to find somebody like at church or like somebody that you know. Like you don't just like try to call.
Get Jim Bob.
You don't start cold calling people like, hey, I'll do your tax. Like they're going to get taken advantage of. Like you cultivate some friendships with some people who do those crafts, and then you do their taxes for them. Bam, boom, bam. Everything's good in the world.
Yeah.
And you're just doing 4 more people, you're good at it. I mean, like our tax lady, our taxes are super easy, but our tax lady, she's super fast.
Yeah, like 10 minutes and we're done.
Yeah. Now I'm assuming it's much harder for those other businesses, but like if you're good at what you do, that's the way to do it right there. I wish I had been an accountant, but then I wouldn't have met you.
Yeah, it would have been very sad, but we've got a good life.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain about it. I wish I had I'm just saying, if you're in that place right now where you're trying to figure out what to do, you need to pick one of those careers where you can actually like have some
y'all.
Quid pro quo. And even if you're not good with numbers, you become the plumber, and now you've got an accountant.
Yep. Because you know what? we're always going to be in need of those jobs.
As long as they're getting taxes from us, we're always going to need an accountant. That's pretty,
Well,
pretty
and
cut
like
and dry.
we're always going to need plumbers. We're always going to need carpenters.
And we need to be nice to these people. This is what
Yeah.
I think it kills me. Like my mom had their septic system pumped not that long ago, and she said that she thanked the guy, and he was like taken aback by being thanked. And it's like, well, twofold here. One, I don't even know how to do the stuff that you do with that area. I also don't want to.
Yeah.
But then you got people who treat craft people poorly, like, electricians and stuff when they come to their house. It's like, but you need what they have to offer.
Yeah.
And even if you're a doctor, you don't have the knowledge that they have about electrical stuff. So you couldn't do what they're doing and they couldn't do what you're doing. It doesn't mean that you're smarter than they are. You're just smarter they are than at anatomy, and they're smarter than you are at electrical stuff. So why can't we just respect what everybody else is good at? It seems like it's a very simple concept, but it doesn't work out anymore.
I don't know why either. It's extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be mean to the person. Like, even if you take it down to fast food, like, you shouldn't be mean to the person giving you your food just because you're the one buying it.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for them making it and giving it to you, you wouldn't have it.
Yeah. Everybody should just be kind to one another. But I will say, I do get upset sometimes, and this is bad, when like you go somewhere and you're trying to like buy something or whatever, and the person that you're trying to buy it from acts better than you.
Yeah.
Like the one that always sticks out in my head is when we were trying to buy your ring, and it's like, I'm about to pay cash for a very expensive item. We don't need to get into numbers, but it's like, I'm not just dropping pennies here. And then you're gonna treat me like you're better than I am. You're the one that sells me rings.
Yeah.
And that it's not a good mindset to have, but like that goes both ways though. Like the person at even a nice restaurant shouldn't act like they're better than the person that's buying the food.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Even if you are the one eating at an expensive restaurant, you should still treat the server with respect.
You need each other. Why not be nice?
Who's gonna bring your food to you if you're not nice to the person that's bringing you your food? I mean, like not nice, but if you don't want to do it yourself, you're hiring somebody else to do it, basically. And yes, I have that mindset too of like, you are like, when I hire you, in some ways I'm your boss now. But I'm also need to treat you with dignity and respect because you're doing something that I don't want to do.
Yep.
Wow. I got a lot deeper than I thought we were going to.
You just never know where things are going to go sometimes. But I do believe we need to wrap this up because Oliver has awoken.
Did he ever sleep?
Yeah.
We've only been going for like less than an hour. I don't even actually know because it was counting in seconds and now the laptop's locked.
Oh, yeah. He went to sleep. Oh, well, he might be settling back down.
Well, all in all, I hope that this podcast was a decent episode. I have no idea what we're going to call it at the moment. I also got to quit moving this mic away from my face. We're learning.
Yeah, bear with us, y'all. We're trying to figure it out.
That's why we upgraded early in the first few episodes of the podcast. That way, by the time we get to later episodes, we already have good equipment, and the only thing that we have to do is just get better at using it and talking.
Yeah.
But if you guys have any comments, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. I hope that everything sounds good. I can hear myself in my ears right now, but I still question what it's actually going to sound like through the laptop here in a second. But I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think
you sound awesome. I can't really tell how I sound. Like, it's weird. We've got the in-ears in, and you can hear yourself, but you also hear yourself saying it at the same time. So it's like this weird muffly echo.
Well, I also wonder if I'm not actually hearing you through the headphones and stuff, because I'm not entirely sure that mine's going and everything's just muffled.
Well, I can definitely hear you through these headphones clear as day. And I know I'm not hearing you because I took it off a second ago, and it sounded much different than it did with them.
Yeah, no, I think I'm just hearing you with headphones over. But, I mean, it's helped keep down distractions, so I didn't really mention anything until now. So
yeah. Well, we'll figure that out. Hopefully this whole podcast episode recorded. You'll know if it did because you'll be listening to it right now. We hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Please follow us on social media. It's all More God, Less Me everywhere.
Yep.
You'll be able to find us. We're putting out short form content, trying to at least. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I'm going to do my best. And we just hope you guys have a great rest of your day.
God bless.
God bless.